All right, so this is sections 5.2 through 5.4 in your textbook, and it's all about multiplying polynomials, okay? So we just learned in the previous video about adding and subtracting. Now we're going to move to multiplying them, and we multiply them in a lot of ways. So 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4 is all about multiplying, okay? And when we multiply polynomials, we add exponents of common bases. That means that we add exponents if their bases are both x or they're both y, okay? We don't add x and y bases or x and y exponents, okay? So look at this example, okay? 6x cubed minus or times negative 2x to the fifth, my bad. Okay, so 6 times negative 2 is just negative 12. Okay, we're just multiplying those two coefficients, and then we'll say x to the, and we're going to add our exponents, right? We're going to say 3 plus 5, that gives us 8, and that's it. Okay, adding exponents of common bases. Okay, this one, the only difference here is that we have x's and y's. Okay, negative 2 times negative 4 is still 8. Okay, nothing changes with multiplying your numbers. Okay, well, you add your exponents. So we have for x, there we go. We have 2, and there's an understood 1 here, right? And just a tip, it helps if you write the ones in there because you just forget. Okay, so 3 and then y, and we have 3 plus 2, that gives us y to the fifth, and we're done. Okay, so just adding those exponents together. Okay, look at this one. If I were to ask you, what do you think we need to do? You probably would say distribute, right? And you would be correct. Okay, we need to distribute. Distribution is multiplication, right? When we distribute, we multiply. That's the operation behind distribution, is multiplication. So if we multiply, we add our exponents. So we have 2x times 4x cubed. So that gives us 8x to the fourth. Okay. Then we have 2x times negative 6x squared. So that's negative 12x to the third. And then 2x times 3 is just 6x. Okay. And we are done. Okay. So we're just distributing there. Same thing here, except we have two variables instead of one. Okay. Nothing changes. We're still going to just add our exponents once we distribute. Okay. So we have 3 times 5, that's 15. And just go one by one, right? I'm going, okay, 3 times 5, that's 15. Now deal with x. So we have 2. My circle 2 and 2, that gives us 4. For y, we have y to the first, y to the second, and that gives us y to the third. Then go to the next one. Minus 3 times 2 is 6. X to the third, y to the second. Okay, I said 2 plus 1, and then 1 plus 1 gave me 2. And then the last one, you have 3 times 3, that gives you 9. And then x squared, and we don't have an x over here, right? So just leave it x squared. And then y to the first, that gives us y squared. Okay. All we're doing is adding those exponents when we multiply. Okay. Then we have multiplying a binomial times a trinomial. Okay, so let's remember what binomial means. That means 2 terms times a trinomial, that's 3 terms. Okay, split it up and watch for distributing a negative sign. Okay, so we need to distribute 2 separate times. We need to distribute x That's first. Then we're going to go back through and distribute this other number, okay? So let's distribute our x first and then go back and do our 1, okay? So x times x squared, that's x cubed, right? So this has an understood 1 on it, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 2x squared. I need to do this in the other color, don't I? There we go. Switch. There we go. Okay. So x cubed plus 2x squared plus 3x, right? It's a different shade of blue. It's going to bother me. There we go. Okay. That's the first distribution. Now we're going to go back through and do the other one. So plus x squared plus 2x plus 3, because we were just distributing 1, so nothing changed, right? Okay. Well, now look and see what we have. You should agree that we have an x squared and an x squared, a 3x and a 2x, right? Those are like terms, so we need to add our like terms. So we have x cubed, right? That didn't have a buddy, plus 3x squared. Now we're adding like terms, so we're not touching our exponents, plus 5x plus 3, right? So that's our final answer. So when we distribute, or when we do binomial times trinomial, like we're doing right here, we might have to add those like terms, okay? Here's another example. We're going to do this first, right? We get x cubed, x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x. That was the first step. Now we're going to distribute the second term in that parentheses. We're going to distribute a -2, right? If that's a minus sign right here, you need to distribute a negative through. So we'll say -2 times x squared, that's -2x squared. -2 times -4x is positive 8x. Then -2 times 3 is -6. Then look for like terms. You have squared and squared, and x and x. Okay, so you have x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. Okay, just like that, right? So that's binomial times trinomial. You're not doing anything much different other than you have to distribute twice and then add your like terms. So just one more extra step, okay? What about if we multiplied binomials times binomials? This is something that you're probably familiar with, right? Is FOIL, okay? FOIL, first, outside, inside, last, right? You'll do first times first, outside times outside, inside times inside, last times last, okay? And these, all these 4 of these examples, these are what these look like, okay? So you have binomial, 2 terms times 2 terms. In all of these, that is true. When you have that, you need to FOIL, okay? So you say first. So the first times the first, that gives you x squared. Then you have outside. So the 2 outer pieces. First outside, right? So that's x times 8. So that's plus 8x. Inside, so the 2 most inner pieces. Last, the 2 last pieces. Plus 16, just like that. okay? If you FOIL correctly, these right here in the middle will always be like terms that you add together. X squared. But, ooh, I multiplied them. That's a no-no. Okay. And that is your answer, okay? First, outside, inside, last. Your two middle pieces should be like terms, and then you're done, okay? This guy, only difference between this one and we're gonna do this one first. Just kidding. First, that's 28, right? 4 times 7 is 28, x squared. The two outer pieces is negative 12x. Inner pieces minus 35x. And then last would be positive 15, right? Then you have like terms in the middle, right? So you get 28 x squared minus 47 x plus 15. And that is your answer. Okay, now let's go back to this one where we have two variables. Okay, same thing though. Okay, first 2x squared outside. Okay, x times 5y, that's just 5xy. Okay, you're just multiplying. Inside, negative 6xy. Minus 15y squared. Okay, so it looks different, but we still have these like terms in the middle, right? So we get that. Okay. Then we have this one. Same thing. First is 4x squared outside plus 4xy inside minus 3xy minus 3y squared. Okay, you see how we're doing the same thing every single time. And we're done. Okay, so that is the FOIL method. That is something that you should be pretty familiar with, right? I think those will be the easiest ones that we do, okay? Well, what about something that looks like this, okay? Notice something here in these two examples. The only thing that's different is the sign, right? So let's see what happens when that's the case. We're still going to FOIL, right? First, outside, inside, last. We still have like terms in the middle, but what happens to those like terms? They add to 0, right? Plus 3x minus 3x is 0. So we're just left with x squared minus 9. So that middle term is no longer there, right? Because it added to 0, right? Okay, same thing here. We're still going to do it. First, outside, inside, last, right? In the middle, we have 0. And we're just left with that. So if you ever have stuff where the terms are the same, but the only thing that's different is the sign, that middle term should go away. That middle term should add to 0. Okay, so these problems are called sum and difference of a product. The rule is square minus square, right? So really we said, if we look at this one, we said square minus square, right? So we said we squared this one, and we got it. Square minus square. Same thing over here. If you squared 2x, right, you would get 4x squared. And if you squared 8, you would get 64. Put a minus sign in between it, okay? So FOIL or square minus square, okay? All right, look at this one. Squaring a binomial, the rules for that, okay? So if we have something that looks like these two examples, what does this mean, okay? X plus 5 squared, right? So the x plus 5 is in parentheses. So if mathematically what this means is we have 2 copies of x plus 5, right? We have 2 copies of x plus 5. If you want to do it like this and then just FOIL, that's perfectly fine, but there is an easier way. Maybe not easier, but just more mathematical, I guess. That's what I wrote here. You can write the parentheses twice in FOIL, but it's better to learn the rules, okay? You're going to square the first, meaning this guy, multiply and double. So you're going to say x times 5 times 2, and then you'll square the last. So this looks like x squared plus 25. Okay, in the middle, we're going to say 5x times 2 and get 10x, and that's what goes in the middle. And you're done. Okay, over here, we'll say x squared, and then we'll square the last, 36, multiply together, times 2 is negative 12x, and you're done. Okay, again, you can go x plus 5 times x plus 5 and do first, outside, inside, and last, and then add your like terms. I meant 5x plus 5x. Okay, so you should get plus 10x. I was thinking too far ahead. Okay, and that was from x plus 5. Like that. Totally legal for you to do that, but you don't have to, right? This one, we have x's and y's, but nothing changes, right? Square the first. So you'll do 2x squared. So 4x squared. Square the last. Right? In the middle, you need to multiply, so you get 10xy times 2 gives you 20x, and it's negative y minus 20xy. Squaring this one, squaring this one, multiply times 2. Let me highlight the answer. Okay, one more time. 3x squared is 9x. 4y squared plus 16y squared. Okay, don't forget to square your number too and not just do this. Don't do this. Okay, you're only squaring your variable. You're not squaring your number when you do that. Okay, then we're going to multiply together 12xy, and it's positive because you have a plus in the middle, times 2, so 24xy. Okay. And that's your answer, right? So when you have them written like that, you can square the first, multiply and double, square the last. Or you can just rewrite the parentheses twice and FOIL, okay? Either one is fine, but it does pay off to know the rules, okay? And that is it on multiplying polynomials.